How do I get, oh. Good morning. Welcome to First Church Unitarian. Welcome to First Church Unitarian of Littleton, Massachusetts, on this most beautiful winter day after our first really big snowstorm. My name is Tucker-Barisano, and I serve on the Standing Committee and the Religious Education Committee. Because of the pandemic, we're now in our red light status, which means we will conduct our Sunday services virtually for the next few weeks. We're glad that you found us, and we really hope to welcome any newcomers to this amazing church community. We also hope that you will take time to read our Community Matters newsletter, which can be found on our website, fculittle.org. You will find information on church and religious education activities, educational opportunities, and activities that are offered by our greater UU community. I'd like to call your attention to one item in the newsletter, which is the save the date for our annual stewardship gathering, which will be Saturday, March 12th from 4:30 to 6. We will be virtual again this year, and it was so much fun last year. And it will also this year be filled with lots of fun, fellowship, music, some yummy stews, and best of all, we will be celebrating our wonderful church community. Our service today is entitled The Secret of Happiness, and our guest preacher will be our own Cindy Malley, lead deacon. Thank you, and welcome to church.
Good morning. I'm Lozeau, the music director, and this is Natalie, the assistant music director. And we are also happy to welcome you to church today. The prelude you're going to hear today is a Spanish piece by Spanish composer Manuel de Falla. This piece in particular is called Rondo Aragonaise, and it uses a lot of fun Spanish rhythms. It's from a set of, I think, 12 Spanish dances that he wrote. And Cindy told me that the music today should be fun and things that I like to play. So this is a piece I like to play.
Thank you, Molly. My opening words this morning are from the book SeinLanguage by Jerry Seinfeld. Life is truly a ride. We're all strapped in and no one can stop it. When the doctor slaps your behind, he's ripping your ticket and away you go. As you make each passage from youth to adulthood to maturity, sometimes you put your arms up and scream, Sometimes you just hang on to the bar in front of you, but the ride is the thing. I think the most you can hope for at the end of life is that your hair's messed up, you're out of breath, and you didn't throw up. And now I'm going to ask Natalie to light our chalice this morning and lead our covenant.
Hold it up. Ready? Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Why is Thea lighting the Why is she lighting the candle?
Everybody can light candles if they want.
Thank you, Natalie. Good morning. I join with Karen to tell you how happy we are to see you this morning and welcome you to First Church Unitarian in Littleton's completely virtual service. You may have noticed that I am not Reverend Laura Hoke. Please don't make your disappointment too obvious because I can still see you. Reverend Laura is having a well-deserved day off and will be back. My name is Cindy Malley, and I am extremely happy to serve this amazing congregation as one of your deacons. I am also honored that you would welcome me back into this virtual pulpit. Thank you. I'd like to also let you know that if you are in need of a minister, today's lay minister is Jan Dustin. So thank you, Jan. And with that, I'm going to ask Malley to lead us in our joyful noise.
All right, so this is the part where everybody can unmute. Hang on. You can unmute. People have been bringing instruments or some fun things like that. That's welcome if you want to do that. All right. All right, ready? Can you count down 3, 2, 1? 3, 2, 1. Good morning. We got some ukulele. And stop. Nice.
I'm still going. Okay.
If you need to speak, unmute.
Thank you, Mike. I realized it a couple seconds after it happened. Thank you, Malley. Oh, I actually have a trombone, and I almost brought the trombone because I thought that would be particularly funny, but Via was still asleep, and so I gave up my trombone for good parenting. So hopefully he'll thank me later. Yeah. I would like to now introduce our amazing Director of Religious Education, Thea, to lead our Time for All Ages.
Good morning. I'm going to read you the story, Bark Less, Wag More, by my husband, David Grober. Have you ever been angry and you weren't sure why you were angry? Have you ever wanted to bark at the whole world? Once upon a time, there was a dog named Joe. Joe was an angry dog. Joe was so angry he would bark at babies, and he was so angry he would growl at grandmothers. And Joe was angry all day. In the morning, he would snarl at the sun, and at night, he would howl at the moon. Now, Joe hadn't always been an angry dog. In fact, Joe could remember a time when he wagged his tail at the world and the world wagged back. Joe remembered how he would trot, skip, jump down the street and bring a smile to everyone's face. Joe remembered how the neighborhood kids would say hello and scratch his head. And he remembered most fondly how the red-haired girl in the yellow house would be so excited to see Joe that she would jump up and down, and then Joe would jump up and down, and all the neighborhood kids would laugh because they'd never seen a dog jump like Joe did. And the red-haired girl called him Jumpy Joe. And when Joe got tired, He would lie down and the girl would scratch that spot behind his ear and give him a treat. Oh, you might be wondering what made Joe so angry. Well, he didn't just wake up one morning and decide to be angry. Angry sort of snuck up on him. One day he hurt his paw and Joe got achy. Another day he played in poison ivy. Then Joe got itchy. The neighborhood's cat started howling, meowing all night, so Joe couldn't sleep. Then Joe got cranky. The people in Joe's house moved Joe's favorite chair to the other side of the room. Then Joe got grumpy. And Joe was getting too old to jump as high as he used to. And then Joe got tired and just a little sad. All that achy and itchy and cranky and grumpy and tired and sad got mixed together and made Joe one angry dog. So when the neighborhood kids came running to say hello, Joe yawned and kept walking. And when the red-haired girl came out of her house and started jumping up and down, Joe growled and kept walking. Eventually, the neighborhood kids stopped saying hello to Joe. Only the red-haired girl continued to come running and jump up and down, and Joe got even angrier at the girl because she didn't understand that Joe couldn't jump anymore and he just wanted to be left alone. But the girl would not stop jumping. So finally, one day, Joe turned around and snapped at her and gave her the loudest and most ferocious roof. The girl was crying, kids were running away, adults were yelling, and somebody called out, "Leave him alone, he's just Grumpy Joe." Grumpy Joe was now Grumpy Joe? It was no fun being Grumpy Joe. No one stopped to say hello. He missed playing with the neighborhood kids. And most of all, Joe missed the red-haired girl. And that's when Joe decided something very important. He decided he had a choice. He decided that life was better when he barked less and wagged more. So the next time he walked past the neighborhood kids, Joe stopped, wagged his tail, and then, because he couldn't jump the way he used to, Joe lay down, rolled over on his back, and shook his legs in the air. The kids came over to play with Joe, and the red-haired girl came out of her house and watched Joe roll on his back with his legs in the air. She liked this new game. So she laid down, rolled on her back, shook her hands and feet in the air, just like Joe. And everyone thought it was the best thing they'd ever seen. And from that day on, whenever Joe got a little cranky or achy or itchy or tired, he decided not to bark about it. Joe decided to wag. And if Joe the dog could do that, so can each of us. Bark more, wag, bark less, wag more. Oops, I blew it. You get it. I love that story. So all of you can do that as well. Be like Joe.
Hi, my name is Monica Pilman, and I serve as a deacon of this church. This month's Share the Plate offering is going to go to the Poor People's Campaign. The Poor People's Campaign was founded by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. not long before his assassination. After bringing the plight of Black voters and civil rights to the attention of our nation, he decided to tackle the even bigger problem of bringing justice and greater prosperity to the poorest people among us, irregardless of race, color, or creed. This work was stopped short by his assassination, but has been taken up by others who have followed in his footsteps. You can read more about the Poor People's Campaign on their website at poorpeoplescampaign.org. I think you'll find, as I did, that their objectives, their principles are very much in line with our UU principles. They hope to build a world that is the kind of world that I personally would very much like to live in, which is why I support the Poor People's Campaign. While you're on the website, go to the homepage, and up at the top right-hand corner, if you wish to donate to this campaign, you may press the donate button, and it will take you to a page where you can donate via your Visa card, or it will tell you how to prepare a check for your donation. Thank you.
Our offertory music was written by our very own Niela Miller. It is Topsy-Turvy. And I was thinking back, was it a couple of years ago that we did the recital at the church of all Niela's wonderful piano music? And it seems like such a long time ago, but I have to say that it was a really wonderful experience, and I'm so glad to be able to share this piece with you again. This is Topsy-Turvy.
Thank you. On most weeks, we have a tradition of connecting in community by lifting up our joys or concerns and lighting candles. Today, because I am not in the sanctuary, the candles will be symbolic. If you have a joy or a sorrow you'd like to share, please raise your virtual hand and Mike will call on you. Are there any candles this morning? To share our deepest joys and our sorrows. May it be true that a joy shared is a joy doubled, and a sorrow shared is a sorrow halved. We lift these as we unite in a sacred time of silence. Blessed be, and amen. Thank you. When I was little, there was an elderly woman who lived in a big black house at the end of my block. I avoided her, not because her house was painted entirely black and not because there were rumors that she practiced witchcraft. I avoided her because when I walked past her house, she would leap out of her door wearing a floral housecoat, furiously shaking a straw broom and shrieking, "Zage Zmwego Ganku." Zage Zmwego Ganku is the only phrase in Polish I still understand, and it means, "Get off my porch." I really need you to know that I never set foot on her porch, ever. I just wanted to get to the candy store. But there were teenagers who did use her porch, probably frightening her, doing whatever disrespectful kids did in 1981. And because of that, she hated every kid. She was probably somebody's grandma and kept a dish of hard candies next to her front door. But to me, she was an angry Polish jack-in-the-box, and I named her the scary old lady. I know that wasn't a very you thing to do, but at the time I was a Baptist. I haven't thought about her in years. But the other day, I was sitting in the carpool lane of VO's high school, waiting to pick up my own small group of teenagers. It's my third year waiting in that carpool lane, and I'm sure it is also one of the 9 circles of hell. Despite emails and voicemails and teachers directing traffic, nobody knows how it works. As I was sitting in the driver's seat, my car full of kids, venting my frustration in the form of cursing under my face mask while gesticulating at the Toyota, blocking the exit lane again, one of my kids suggested I bump them, to push them out of the way. And I considered it. And in that moment, I had a flashback to that pink and yellow housecoat, and I realized I had become, at least momentarily, the scary old lady. Recently, I've been short-tempered with my wife, my parents, my son, my pets, every single thing I own or plug in or have to clean, my phone, Facebook, the church executive team, and Mother Nature. I'm usually not, how should I say, so easily annoyed. As a matter of fact, there might be some of you who think I only always have a big, crooked smile on my face. That's because I am blessed with what I like to call resting happy face. But trust me, beneath this jolly exterior sometimes beats the heart of a bitter, angry woman. I am also betting there are a few of you, generally happy people, who've considered ramming your car into a Toyota now and then. On top of that, it's January in New England, the season of Are you one of those amazing people who love this time of year? The skiing, the frostbite, the bombogenesis? What the heck is that? I hate it. It's too dark. The snow that was so pretty in December is now solid ice covered in sand. Also, the air hurts. Why are we choosing to live in a place where the air hurts? Add COVID, and we're trapped in our homes with our boring families who force us to play Monopoly between Zoom meetings. It could be enough to turn the most cheerful of us into scowling curmudgeons. But let me pause this rant and take a moment for clarification. When I talk about being a curmudgeon, I'm not talking about deep grief or depression or trauma. This homily is not about those huge, real challenges that affect most of us at some time in our lives. Rather, I'm talking about how we can slip from being generally positive human beings with hopes and a wish for the common good to bitter, sarcastic grumblers who are pretty sure our neighbors are actually out to get us. When we're short-tempered and pessimistic, it affects those we come into contact with, and truth be told, it affects us negatively too. If we focus on our troubles and annoyances, we stop moving forward. One of the traits of pessimism is the inability or unwillingness to change a negative situation, even if change is possible. It's a perpetual cycle, and that cycle needs to be broken. So, other than the immediate onset of rainbows and kittens, perfect health and beach days, how do we get from being grumpy to happy? What's the secret to happiness? Good news. There's a book with the answer. Jonathan Friedman wrote a book in 1978 called Happy People, and it reveals, I quote, what happiness is, who has it, and why. So here is Mr. Friedman's profile of a happy person. It's a 40-year-old woman who lives somewhere in Canada and works full-time as an entertainer, earning at least $50,000 a year. That's approximately $200,000 in today's money. Married for the first time, she loves her husband and leads a fairly active sex life, but she sometimes dreams of being Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis. She is a Unitarian, but is not especially religious and does not believe in ESP. But she is an optimist by nature, and she does believe that life has meaning and direction. So there you have it. According to this amazing book, happiness is being female, heterosexual, having love, a marriage, a job you like, a better than decent income, and Unitarianism. I am this close, and you probably are too, unless if you're a man. Well then, sorry. Even though it was a fun read, I have my doubts about Mr. Friedman's theory. But there are plenty of people who can offer you the key to happiness. Samuel Johnson said that happiness proceeded from a good tavern. Jean-Jacques Rousseau said, happiness is a good bank account, a good chef, and good digestion. Charles Schulz once wrote, happiness is a warm puppy. And you know what? They're all correct. What makes me happy? The smell of lilacs, baking fanciful things, being appreciated, and making others laugh. What makes you happy? Hopefully, this is easy. Your kids or grandkids, a great movie, singing, knowing that you are not responsible for leading this worship service. Here is the obvious, simple truth. Happiness is personal. It's unique to you. And the secret to it lies all around you. Let's start by first examining how other people, affect us. I am extremely empathetic. I pick up on the emotions of people around me, and for better or worse, those usually affect my well-being. I have told my close friends that it's my superpower. I imagine myself much like Deanna Troi from Star Trek: The Next Generation, which is truly the best Star Trek. Please send any and all arguments to Reverend Laura at minister@fculittle.org. Now, I call my empathic ability my superpower because that feels better than calling it my personal reaction to trauma, which is what it really is. This uncontrollable trait makes me finely attuned to the comfort and or discomfort of those around me, and I catch their emotions, whatever they are. You do it too, probably to less of a degree maybe, but as social creatures, emotional connection is one of our most important basic human needs. In our brains, we have mirror neurons which fire when we observe an action performed by another person and triggers us to engage in the same action. Thanks to those mirror neurons, emotions are contagious. We can, and often do, reproduce the feelings of the people we interact with, both in person and virtually. We've all experienced being in the room with a hostile person and how that can affect everyone. You can probably think of a time when someone was a consistently negative influence on the people around them. There are lots of techniques available to help lift someone like this from their negative space, and even more ideas on how to protect yourself from catching their hostile emotions. But that's another homily for another day. I want to share the happy stuff with you today. And that happy stuff is that positive emotions are just as contagious. There was a 20-year study at Harvard that showed that if your friends became happier, you are 25% more likely to become happier yourself. And it doesn't even need to be actual friends. In 1950, Charles Douglas developed the technique of inserting pre-recorded laughter into television shows, the ubiquitous laugh track. Why? Because he realized that hearing others laugh would make the audience laugh more, and he was right. Positive energy, joyfulness, laughter, it can spread through a community just as fast as negativity. Here's the point and secret to happiness number 1. Surround yourself with happy people, my friends. They will make the hard jobs less tedious. Look for people who make you laugh, who smile easily. Seek them out. Look for those who lift you up, and in times of chaos, who remain calm. Look for the people who know how to find joyfulness and humor, because they can help lead you to it. Ready for secret number 2? Notice what you like. It seems too simple, right? But do you truly notice? For example, you can spend an entire evening with friends and only realize once you get home that you had a great time. Because of this, you missed a chance to be present to happiness. It's about being mindful. The late and beloved Thich Nhat Hanh, widely known as the father of mindfulness, said that it is the capacity to be aware of what is going on and what is there. The present moment is filled with joy and happiness. If you are attentive, you will see it. Be attentive. Actively notice your joy. Say to yourself, right now I'm happy. The next time you do something you love, you can bring yourself to a fuller level of presence to that moment by noting to yourself, I really like this. It means seeing the world as it is, the great big things, as well as the little teeny tiny things. It means being aware of your own delight while it is happening. And more often than not, what will bring you that delight will be something that seems like a little teeny tiny thing. For me, it's knowing you showed up for today's service, even though I'm filling in. Think about what teeny tiny thing brings you joy. Figure that out, and then do more of it. So now you know the first two secrets. Find happy people. Notice what makes you happy. You can do that. But secret number 3 is much harder. Stop complaining. Stop criticizing. Stop being judgmental. Again, for clarity's sake, I'm not talking about worldwide or systemic problems. I'm not talking about the injustices of the world and the very real dangers that face ourselves and our fellow living beings. No. You get out there and raise your voices and be heard. You get out there and you fix those things. And what I'm talking about is putting an end to the constant flow of little complaints, the less righteous complaints, the carpool lane complaints. A lot of us struggle with this. I often ignore my blessings while continuing to dwell on all of the wrongs I must endure because I get sucked into my own ego. I start to believe I deserve certain things. I deserve to have an easier day. I deserve to have my thoughts heard first. I deserve to have my priorities take precedent over others. Do you do this too? When our egos are front and center, then every little inconvenience, every little slight becomes intentional and cruel. And then we spiral and get stuck. So stop that. Easier said than done, I know, but humility can help decenter yourself. And if you can decenter yourself, you will find it much easier to accept life's minor inconveniences as just that, minor inconveniences. Because what's going on is usually not about you. So the first secret to happiness is to surround yourself with positive people. The second is be mindful of your own joy and do more of what makes you happy. The third, quit focusing on your complaints. And what's the fourth secret of happiness? Love yourself enough to laugh at yourself. Because despite the facade you probably hold up to the world, you can be pretty darn funny. I am not telling you that you need to lose your dignity unless if that's something you enjoy. But what you do need to do is let go of your perfectionism and allow yourself to enjoy your imperfection. Enjoy what makes you human. At least in the privacy of your own space, let it go. You don't need to be on constantly. You don't need to always know exactly what to say or do or be the essence of wit and dignity. You don't need to be your own worst critic. You can be foolish, improper, and undignified. It's okay. Once while visiting the Westboro congregation with our search team, I tripped, fell out of the pew, and landed in the center aisle. These things happen. I've never seen it happen to Laura Semple, but I accept that these things happen to me. But know that you too can make public mistakes. It's okay. Apologize if necessary, change if needed, and laugh if you can, because mistakes happen to everyone. And because you're not going to be truly happy unless you are first happy with your true, imperfect self. Appreciate who you are, your quirks, your strange habits. The little things you worry might make you weird or different or unlovable. Appreciate little things that you think make you less than perfect. Because they don't, you're terrific. You might also be a little weird, but I love that about you. And I hope you love that about you too. So that's it. The 4 simple secrets to happiness. Surround yourself with happy people. Practice mindfulness. Quit focusing on the negative. And remember, find joy in your own imperfection. And it's all up to us. We choose who we are. If we want to quiet our inner curmudgeon, we can. And the good news is it's joyful work. It's happy work. And it's a lot more fun than ranting about the carpool lane. So let's try to be happy so that no one ever finds us dressed in a floral housecoat, waving a broom out the window of our car and shouting, "Get out of the way!" in Polish. Blessed be, and amen. And with that, I'd like to turn things back to Malley for the musical reflection.
There we go. Thank you. Our musical reflection is a silly song. I will just say that it is a silly song. And you saw it, I think maybe in 2019 is when the choir performed it. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, I saw that live, and I really love that there are lyrics popped up on the screen because I had no idea what they were singing live when it happened, and I have to gather myself. Okay. Thank you, Molly. I'd like to thank you all for joining us today for this virtual Sunday service. I really appreciate seeing all of your faces, and it made me really, really happy. I wish this is a type of service that's better to do in person, because I like to hear the responses, but I kept you all up on the big screen so I could at least see smiles pop onto your faces occasionally, and that was wonderful, so thank you. I'm going to ask you to lift your hands if you are able, to allow us to virtually connect, or if there is someone physically with you in your space, hold their hands and feel the connection to each other as I share my closing words. My closing words this morning were written by the poet Colette. What a wonderful life I've had. I only wish I'd realized it sooner. Amen.
Our postlude is just one more fun song that I enjoyed playing. And I have to say that this recording is actually very old. It's like 8 years old when I did a all piano recital. And it's definitely a piece that I want to work up and play for you all live soon, because it's very fun. It's the first Prelude by George Gershwin. And so what you're going to see as the music plays are fun pictures that I found of George Gershwin by just a simple Google search.
Thank you, Molly. Now, everyone, we're going to, or those who want to, can stay on to the Zoom for announcements and for fellowship to follow. So if you have some announcements this morning, if you could raise your virtual hand. I don't know if I'd be calling on you or Mike. I have no idea how this part works because I never pay attention. So so we'll see what happens. I could hear Dana laughing in the other room. I see Thea has her hand raised. Thea, do you have an announcement?
So I just wanted to offer, I'm going to do this weekly just to offer people the opportunity to come to RE on Sunday mornings at 9 o'clock. So if you have something you'd like to share with our children and youth, please contact me. Thank you.
Thank you, Thea.
Laurie, did you want to say something? You're unmuted.
No.
Okay, that's fine.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay.
It's okay. Anybody else have announcements? No, we're a quiet congregation today.